And I'm like, oh.
Okay, tell me about it.
So yeah. So for Venmo, I'd recommend that you use it if you're going to be using it to accept donations, that you only use it for that. You don't use it for sending and receiving random miscellaneous payments. Because like, and you'll see, and perhaps like their reporting has changed, but previously when I've had to process it, it's you can only get like a PDF printout of your activity, and it's got like it's really soft. It's like pictures and like soft data with you know they don't give you like CSV detail reports. They don't give you like bank statement like transaction line nicely. It's like literally just like a scroll of your transaction activity that you have to PDF print, right? Which means that in order to get individualized backup for individualized transactions, you have to PDF print that entire activity page and then like manually like cut out different pages to make a single page PDF for each transaction. If you're going to have like, special transactions, like reimbursing some, an agent, and then, accepting money for, I don't know, for like different types of activity. If you're doing like, especially if you're doing like expense and like stipend or like income payments out through it, then you have to get really granulated backup for that because that's really regulated because your expense stuff that you're, filing your taxes on, reducing your taxable income or whatever. You're not for profit, but like the expense activity, that backup is more regulated if you're going to be keeping a tight audit trail, and especially like income payments out for people, that's highly regulated. So you need very like tight backup packets for that. Venmo doesn't lend itself to that. So
Okay.
perhaps you do get like an email from Venmo each time you send out money in and out. And so if I would like you need to keep all of those and print those out as your backup packets. I
Yep.
would like that would be the easiest way. Before like I worked with an ED that didn't like retain or like have those or didn't have them set up or whatever. And so I had to like do the cutting of the activity, like piecemeal wise. So perhaps if you have the emails, it's a little bit easier, but then you still like think about how many emails you're getting. That's every email that you're getting is a transaction that you have to process through your bookkeeping. So it's not like you have, a bunch of Venmo transactions just because it hits that, bank account one time. It's an amalgamation of all the activity. So it's all of the transactions that you have to process. So if you're using it for mixed purpose, you need to process it, you know, per transaction. However, if you were using it just to accept donation activity, you could kind of like justify processing it like you might process Stripe, which is, often just like,
Big
donation
chunks.
activity coming in. Yeah, you just do it, in the period or the week or per like deposit. And you don't have to do like like extremely granulated backup things. Maybe you are entering it line by line into your accounting system, but you're not creating individual backup packets with individual receipts for each person. And that's the bulk of the work, right? But if you're using Venmo for mixed purpose, then yes, you do need a backup packet for all of the individual donation things because you're using it for mixed purpose. So you have to like, in addition to like getting those like granulated backup packets for income payments out and expense payments out and things like that, like you have to then differentiate between the innocuous or like that donation income because that becomes then more important to individualize like your tracking of. Whereas if it were all the same and homogenous, you get away without that. But like if it's mixed use, you see how like it that one like necessitating granulated backup for one purpose then necessitates granulated backup for the whole lot. And I
Totally.
want to like make that clear for the future because like if you pick up Cash App, exact same thing applies. If you pick up PayPal, same thing applies, right? So you want to keep this in mind for every single payment processor that you pick up because every single one of them is now, for all intents and purposes, another separate bank account that you have to do all of the tracking that you have to do for your main bank account to, in addition to, right? So that's like opening another bank account. So while you might have good reasons to do it, and that justifies doing it, such as, being accessible to other people that, you want to pay money to that don't have bank accounts because, various reasons, or accepting payments if you're selling tickets to shows and you want to get it, like you don't want to like turn away a customer, but there becomes a point where it's like it's not worth it for that one $5 customer over 3 months to have like this whole other processing thing that you're paying, your bookkeeper, $20 a month to reconcile, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of like keep all of that into consideration. But so I say all that to ask you, I think that we've talked about it before, but you do have mixed use for your Venmo, right?
We have used Venmo to pay people, and
Mhm.
we use Venmo to receive donations. Those are
So
the
we have
two
to do,
main.
yeah. So then you have to process every single transaction individually. So so you're keeping your email receipts?
Yes, we have all the email receipts for every transaction we've done.
Great. And then so that'll be like the main piece for your backup. And for the income payments out, did we do the stipend payment or the acknowledgement of payment form? If we haven't already created one of those, I've got templates that I can create that I can like make
Yeah.
for you.
So with paying folks, we have a contract signed for all of them and an invoice
Right.
signed for all of them.
Oh, great. Yeah. So if you have an invoice or something from them, then you don't need anything in-house. But if you do ever like work with somebody that doesn't have like their whole thing set up, maybe, or they don't have the accessibility to like create their own invoice, you can create an acknowledgement of payment form with
We
your
we
logo.
create the invoices because all of our artists have no clue, and
Okay,
we
great. So then you're doing that. Great.
yeah, we're doing the acknowledgement of payment as our invoice.
Okay, great.
And I
Why
don't
don't
let
you
anybody, nobody gets paid until those invoices are uploaded. That's
That's
how it
amazing.
works.
Yeah. Why don't you share your screen and show me what you've got then?
Okay, great. Do you want me to work? Do you tell me which direction you want to head first? Do you want to work on payment that we've sent to somebody, or do you want to
We're
do
going to be
it?
doing Venmo in general. So right now I'm just doing a check of the materials that are involved, and then we'll start like figuring out how to like parse the activity.
Okay.
Because like the thing is like we still can't get like a CSV activity report from them. So like, and if like it's holding balance and stuff, like we need to log into Venmo and see what we can get. But like, first of all, let's look at this form since it's come up.
Okay. Yeah, yes. I'm trying to clarify what that form you're trying to get me to pull up is. You're saying the invoice?
Acknowledgement of payment form, you said you create an invoice every time you pay somebody.
Correct.
So
Yes.
that template,
Yeah. You just want to see the template or you want to see a signed one?
I want to see a template.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, GF4 invoice template. Here's is this an example of one? We have
And you're not sharing your screen yet in case.
yeah. I was trying to find the right one first.
Okay.
One sec. I've got invite but share screen. So this is an example of an invoice that we have. We'll like we fill in the dates of the times they worked for us, the description of what the work was, and the total number of hours with the total due like that we need to pay them down here. We'll send it to them and we'll have the signature down here.
Great.
Um,
So I'm going to share my screen real quick and I'm going to give you some advice on how to uh, add some things to it that are kind of like necessary for tracking for the audit trail. So should be included.
okay.
So start by showing you. It's for one of my clients. Let's see. It's Hannah Banana says I can say whatever I want. Do we have the stipend payment? Ah, that's a lie. So here's the template. And this is just like a cover page. So we've got for stipend payments out, they've got their logo, which is good to have on there. You've got your name and your address, which is sufficient. This just kind of makes it look professionalized. The name of the form, payment to. So you want payment to, the payment date, paid via and the transaction number, and that's what I noticed that you were missing. You've got the paid to the dancer name, it seems like up there, but you also want to confirm in this form, especially since you're the one that's creating it, how you paid, the transaction number, and the date that you paid. And then the same thing that you had in yours, the period or the date of service, the description of the service and the amount, and then the total at the end. So you had that. And then a signature is good to kind of include on the bottom to round it out to make it, because what you're doing is like you're creating a receipt for audit trail purposes and also for like their tax purposes. So you really do need like a sign off. And I can't remember if you had that at the bottom, but
Yeah, the one I pulled up is actually an invoice from a year and a half ago. I pulled up another one that's signed that is more updated.
okay, cool.
Um, it this is okay.
Okay,
I
then I'll stop share. Yeah, and then so like going forward, yeah, whenever we're looking, I want to look at your most recent
Yeah,
template.
I meant to. That's why I wanted to take a moment to see if I could pull it up, and then you're like,
Uh,
just show it to me, and I was like, okay, cool. And I
oh,
just
oh,
pulled up an invoice template. Um, this is one that we used for payment for our gig scratch nights. So the invoice way that we name our invoices is we have our code for the accounting purposes, the code that we have for the thing. We'll
mhm,
usually make a code for what event it was. So this was scratch night, so we put SCN. We put the initials of the person we're paying, Masha Vanduel, and we put the date in that format.
yep.
So kind of like our tracking number. Then we'll have who we paid, Mosh
Right,
Banduel.
and pause here. Because this is not from them, you should not use the word from. This is an acknowledgement of payment form because you're creating it in-house. So you need to make sure that that is very clear, because otherwise it's fraudulent. If you're like creating an invoice that was from them, that becomes like a misrepresentation of actuality, which is fraud, right?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that your labels are in line with the intent or with what actually happens. It's just so you know, so like, and when you're creating any other type of template going forward, because I won't always be here to advise. So that's why I make sure to give you the full explanation of why.
Yeah. So
So
like two
yeah.
works better.
Great. And so another comment here, I like the billing thing. So I would put the billing thing at the top or the billing thing at the bottom and then move your issued on next to who you're paying to because you want to keep those things together. So like all of the information for who you're paying, how you paid, the date that you paid, like I had on mine, that's all together. And then the information for like the paying out. And so a lot of folks like to do sort of a two-sided thing. So like in old school, like if you went to like old school fucking junior college and had old school like letter writing, templates and formats, you would have like the return addresses on the right and like who it's going out to on the left. I noticed like you're getting longer, which buries the information. So then you'll start having multiple page invoices, which are never good. So in order to do that, you should think about making it shorter somehow, either by squeezing those together or splitting your columns. And one other note, you notice that mine was in Excel and yours is in Google Docs. Google Docs doesn't lend itself to retaining formatting very well. You've already noticed that you've made your own chart, but it doesn't look very nice. And my chart I was able to make like colorful and I can more easily like guide the individual like formatting. I can make it money, I can make it add itself, and I can make it easily. I can like duplicate a tab so that I have two different versions, right? So maybe I have a dancer payment out and then I have like a tech payment out like thing with slightly different language. So I don't have to like keep updating this one line back and forth. I can just have multiple things. So you might think about transferring your template over to Excel as opposed to docs. And then that makes it easier for you to split the columns of data like I was talking about. Because if you wanted to have like the right justification of like your address and billing stuff, and then the left justification of like who you paid and that information, you would have to do special formatting, which would which would get out of line very easily and which would be a pain in the ass to deal with, whereas you don't deal with that problem in Excel. So those are all of my notes at this point. um,
Yeah, thanks for letting me know that it should be on Excel.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, there are schools of thought, and if you're more comfortable with this program and you're not at all comfortable with Excel, then not necessarily. But if you're comfortable with Excel, then I highly recommend do like switching because it's if you're used to the program, then it will be better for you.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know you recommend that we
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
should be on Excel, and thank you for clarifying that it's not a should be.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So
We're on video right now, so we're
um so I have the billing here, and then we have the dates that people worked and how long they worked, the total amount that's due, and a signature down here.
yeah. And then I would add a date. And because like of the nature of the form, the signature date is going to be the date that you paid, but still having it on the top and the bottom is general practice.
Got it.
So and most folks have like the signature line and the date line kind of like next to each other.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I'll format that and fix that later. I just wanted to take the notes.
sure. Yep, that's what I'm just telling you.
Great. Yeah, so that's an example, and I will edit that to make that like correct.
That's cool. Yeah. And if you would like me to make a template out of the one that I have created, for you to either like use or to use as a thing, I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah, if you want to email me one that you use as a template, I can work off of that and make something for us.
Just house it in your folder. That's what we got that folder for.
That's how we
So
got a folder.
I was like, I've got a Google Drive folder for you for all of your spreadsheets.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me just make a little note to do that later. All right. So why don't we you can continue sharing your screen if you like. And I noticed that you were logged into Venmo. So I want to see if they have any better reporting available
Okay.
through their site.
Yeah, so logged into Venmo here. Um, and you want to see if there's better reporting.
Yeah,
Um,
so statements.
they
Oh,
have
good. They've got a CSV.
Yeah,
Fucking
and they have the same thing as what they have for like bank accounts. So like I can go to January, which is the month we'll
great.
be working with,
Yeah.
and I
So yeah,
can
download that and let's upload it into, do you already have it like CSVs for Venmo activity set up in your thing
um
or no?
I already have Venmo activity set up in my thing.
Like in Drive, like do you like we created the activity tracker for your bank? Have you already created an Excel document for like a Venmo activity tracker?
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Oh,
And the so we have Chase accounting folders. On accounting folders, we have Venmo. And we have Venmo to practice to process, but I have not gotten there yet.
okay. So great. So in this Venmo folder right here, go ahead and go to new and Google Sheets, and we'll set it up with January activity.
Great. Delete,
Oh, yeah.
and then we're gonna import.
Hmm.
Is it no, it's not.
Yeah, it's in there. You got to drop the carrot so you can. There you
Oh,
go.
that carrot import. And
To the,
upload.
there you go.
See that browse. Oh, or drag a
It
file.
takes a moment sometimes. Yeah.
Haha, gay sex. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's from an edit. There's a transaction history.
Sure.
And I know it was my solo for November that I did.
Love it.
And we want, you've told me this before, insert new sheet, and we want
Leave that alone. Yeah, detect automatically.
import data.
And so that'll be what we sort of harvest from. But like the first time you set it up, you've got to think more. So you've got to use like sort of like what information am I going to need and how easy is it going to be to harvest over each time I make a new download. So both of those things we're sort of like keeping into mind. And
Mhm.
so I'll say right now that I didn't realize that they were doing CSVs yet. So this is the first time I've looked at this. So
Okay,
I'm gonna have to kind of look at the things and use my brain a little.
got it.
So the first thing that I want to ask you to do, which this will be good practice to figure out how to start parsing any CVS data going forward. So why don't you select row 3 for me,
Yeah. Row 3, got it.
and then hit actually select the top corner first
Top
of all, because this is just me. But then go to the oh that's fine. Um, go to the font where it's saying default
mhm.
and just hit Roboto for me.
Yeah,
Mm,
we love changing it. Where is Roboto?
Roboto. Well, it's an alphabetical down there, so you just
Annoying.
scroll.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then 11.
Got it. 11.
And now let's select row 3,
Row 3. Got it.
hit bold,
Mm-hmm.
and then select rows 1 and 2 together,
Mm-hmm.
and then right click on the and then delete them,
Mm-hmm.
and then delete row 2,
Okay.
and also yeah, delete that, and then select row 1,
Select
and then
row.
yeah, and then go to view,
Mm-hmm. Freeze it.
free. And now select scroll down. Can I see what row 15 is doing?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
It
just like
it's just
naked?
oh, it's over here. So it's
Let
just
me
giving
look
us
at
information.
that. Okay. So
Oh,
and then
it
what's
has
below
the balance that we had at the
totals?
end.
Okay, so the next thing that I want you to do is select that big block of information,
Yep.
the cell that's full of shit,
Mm.
and then go to that the little like no, don't do that. You just select that cell and then go to format
Format.
and then go to wrapping and then clip.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to 15,
Mm-hmm.
select row 15, and then resize. No, right click on the 15 number
Oh,
and then resize row
got it.
and force to 21.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, bitch. And then select row 15, make bold.
Bold.
Okay, select row 16 all the way down. So 16, let me, okay, if
Yeah,
you
there's what's the shortcut?
if yeah, if you are on row 16, it is shift command down arrow.
Got it.
Yeah, now delete all that shit. All right, and now scroll to the right. Let's get rid of the sauce over past the last thing. So V over, and then wait, shift command right arrow. Yeah, and that's another way. So if you hit shift command to the right and it goes all the way to the end, that means that there's nothing else in any of those things. If you hit shift command right and it stops at a certain random one, that means that it encountered a row that has some information. So there's an important reason why I don't just scroll over. Number one, well, I am saving my wrist. It is faster. It does like help my arthritis. But it knows the dancer, you should care for your body.
Mm-hmm.
But also it is a test. It's sort of an acid test for, is it actually empty or is there some secret data hidden over there? Because like you don't even know. And like especially with the 16 down, there could have been like a couple of gaps in lines and then another total line, right? But it turns out like that total line was combined with that weird chunk of information. But we don't know. This is the first time we're here. So as we're sort of like surveying this data, we're kind of like doing some things to clean it up. We're learning things about the sheet and we're also making it readable. And so that's kind of like our goals and all of the things that we just did together.
Mm-hmm.
Cool,
That makes
cool.
sense.
And now because we remember we have some totals down here, I want to do some like little checks. Why don't we first, that column H, can you just select all of column H for me? And then do you see that sum 760 down in the right-hand corner?
Yes.
Let's just keep that in mind. Okay, let's scroll over to the right. 180, ending balance. Okay, so those are balances. Ugh, gross. That means we're gonna have to set this up like, I mean, you're gonna have a Venmo bank account added to your chart of accounts in QuickBooks and everything because we'll have to like manage it as a separate bank account with its own balance, which is fine, but you know, slightly more work than Stripe,
Yeah.
which like retain its own balance, but not a big deal. Um, let's scroll all the way to the left here so I can look at all of the, so what I'm doing now is I'm reading the column headers and I'm figuring out what information is going to be important to retain. So what I want you to do is do the top corner little empty square and then double click on the line between two of the column headers so that it expands. Perfect. Now select column B all the way down. And it's already in chronological order, which is good, but go to format and go to number and then scroll down, 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 down to where we can't see. Scroll down. Is there
I
anything below that or is it
no,
not?
I think
No.
that's it.
Okay. Go to custom date and time and then hit the 0805 dash 30. No,
Mm-hmm.
not that one.
080530.
Yeah, that one. Because it's my favorite. And now, yeah. And you can double click on it. Yeah, there we go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna identify the columns that we want to keep. And the way that we're gonna do that is just by highlighting like the column header, maybe yellow for now. So ID we want to keep, or just like whatever, yeah. And then date time we want to keep. And then type we want to keep. For now, yeah, payment, status and note and from fuck to.
Yeah,
Um,
up to. Let's get some threes in here.
let's not delete things yet, because like right now I want to do it the long way, but normally I would, if when I'm doing it, I just chop things, but
Yeah.
um, so it looks like there's never, and you're not doing physical items, you're not doing tax rate. So let's do amount total. And you'll just use your brain for a while. For the next several months, you'll watch for any amounts. As long as the amount tip, amount tax, amount fee, and tax rate always stay zero, we can always chop them. But if you ever have any values in there, you're gonna need them.
It's
But hopefully, yeah. So funding source, go ahead and keep that, and destination, keep that. And the reason why we have to do this is because like that means with the fund, no, we're keeping to look at it. I'm talking about them. So the funding source, um you see the JP Morgan Chase, that means that it wasn't taken out of the Venmo balance, which means sometimes it takes it out of the balance, and so you won't be carrying it doesn't always take it from the bank. So because it's variable, you have to process each line. You have to make sure that you know where it's coming from because you'll have to set up your entry into the bank or into the Venmo balance.
totally.
Particular
The JP Morgan Chase ones are either when it's depositing money in our bank account or when we're paying somebody and it's pulling from it.
true
All the
unless
Venmo balances are
no,
direct.
unless you're holding because sometimes if you have a Venmo balance, sometimes it might pay it out of your Venmo balance.
It's set up so that it will not allow us to
Never.
do that.
Oh,
Never.
that's perfect. Okay, that's good to know. But we'll keep these lines.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So scroll. So I guess because you didn't have for the period. And it's only for those bottom lines.
Yeah, and we never have any Venmo fees.
But we'll still keep them in our thing probably. And so what I think is that like usually you notice that we made the bank account one and we always just kind of like copy over our tab from our template that we had set up, right?
Mhm.
And we kind of like we're always getting the CSV activity just like from whatever since the last transaction to whatever the date it is. So we're not doing it necessarily in monthly chunks. We're doing it by whenever the last time we pulled was, right? And we're just kind of like adding it in, adding it in. And it's easy because the columns come out really clean, right? It's always just that one. We don't have to spend a lot of time chopping things. We don't have to delete certain rows of like at that the top header is always at the header. It's always and all of the columns we always keep. So it's easy just to cut and paste out, right? So this will be a different different sort of situation. We will kind of like, from what I'm looking at right now, it would be hard to sort of replicate that style of replication, of replicating the month. So I think I would recommend that each month you do the full monthly download. You'll have like you'll put it into the same annual tab. So you'll do the same process like we just did. So you'll like upload it to a new tab. It'll say Jan 2024. And you'll have like the last month to look at. And so you just kind of flip between the two tabs and be like, okay, which ones did I keep again? So you kind of like do the same process and just make it look the same. Or alternatively, you could duplicate the January tab, clear out the data and sort of like harvest from it and copy paste the chunks over if you're comfortable, like whatever way, as long as it's, whichever way is easiest for you, whichever way kind of like makes it is the cleanest process for you to make it look the same. So you'll have a choice to how, is easiest to populate this each month. But
Totally. That feels clear.
yeah, great. So let's go ahead and keep beginning balance and let's keep ending balance and we'll keep statement period Venmo fees. So go ahead and highlight those ones yellow.
Say it again.
Yeah, P, Q, and R. Perfect.
Got it.
And I think that's all. So why don't we go ahead and you can chop anything not yellow.
Got it. We don't need the two on this one.
Oh, oh, yes, we do. Sorry.
You're safe. We're both here and we're both making the thing happen.
Oh.
Delete. We don't need to keep this big chunk
No.
of text.
I don't think so. Let's blow it up again, but I don't think so.
It's got how to
That'll
reach.
be other standard stuff. It's on their website. You'll
Yeah.
have it at the end of your emails. Like
Okay, great.
it, okay. So now the next thing that we want to do is we want to put it uh into an order that will match the our flow for entries into QuickBooks. So like depending on like what type of entry it is, we'll have to think like so for some things I enter in like journal entry style. And so like I'll have my columns in the order that matches the fields for QuickBooks journal entries. But we're going back and forth here between looks like payments out to people or wait, we're getting in donations, we're getting in donations. That seems like those would be very good to do journal entries for. Yeah, I think I'll set that up with journal entries. We'll have to do that individually instead of doing like a batch for a month, I think. Because we want to log them on the date that they came in and we'll just put it into the Venmo balance, into the Venmo balance, into the Venmo balance. And then whenever your monthly transfers happen, we'll do another journal entry or just a bank. Well, if there's no Venmo fees, then we don't have to worry about doing a Venmo entry or a journal entry because with the journal entry, you would have it out of Venmo and then a portion to fees and then an amount into your bank. That's the way to step it. But if there's no fee for the transfer, then you can just use the QuickBooks bank transfer like little widget entry thing, and that'll just take it out of your Venmo and into your bank. So depending, I think that you said that there's no fees on here. So that's perfect. Because you have the standard transfers, not the immediates. That's perfect.
Exactly.
Right. And you're not, and then you have got payments out. Well, you've got a reimbursement for lighting equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that'll
The,
be like probably an individual journal entry. Occasionally you might have, like if you had like a simple, you might be able to do things through expenses, but if you're already doing all of these line items for journal entries, then I don't know, we can consider setting up a template for you to do your expenses also through journal entry style. That way, however we order your columns, it works for both income and other types of things, right?
Mhm.
So let me want to make yes, perfect. If you'll give me a moment, I'm gonna open a QuickBooks on another screen so that I can be looking at that while I talk you through the order. Okay,
Andy? Yeah, take your time, my friend.
cool, cool. To be and we'll just sign into TMJ. Why not? Don't matter. So for each journal entry, it will be, go have the date. So why don't we move column B to the left one? So column B is now column A.
Mhm.
We're gonna keep ID as column 2. Um, hmm. Can you scroll to the right so I can see what's after column I? Perfecto, and then scroll back to the left. Um, so let's keep type. Can you, so I want status to be after a scroll to the right so I can like let you know where to move it first. Can you move it between destination and beginning balance?
Got it.
Cool, cool. Let's go back over there. Um, and then can you highlight column H?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you go to format
Mm-hmm.
and then wrapping and then clip and then sort of make it so that you can only read funding source. Great. Because all of that's like important to know. Let's move the amount to between type and note.
Mm-hmm.
So G is gonna go between C and D.
Got it.
Uh,
Do you want me to reformat it?
no, 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 not yet. Yes, we need to know all of that before. Makes it hard to date. Go ahead and move amounts between note and from, even though it's technically out of order. I think that'll be better for cognition. And then let's see what's after destination. Can I see the columns after I and okay, perfect. Great. Now, yeah, let's see. This may or may not work. Sometimes if it has like weird mixed formatting like this with like the pluses and the minuses, it will break the Google Docs ability to like auto reformat. But the best let's go to format and number and then try financial. Nah, see, and then just hit Control Z. Okay, and then go to format and try accounting. It's usually broken on all of them, but sometimes it'll, okay, Control Z. So that sucks. So what I want you to do is insert a column after E, one column right, and then select column E, and then go to data, pause, split text to columns, and then don't jump the gun on this because it's weird. Okay, so on the separator, you see the detect automatically with the carrots. Hit
Mm-hmm.
that, you can see the options. And now go to custom and hit the $sign. Yeah, and okay, perfect. Now what I would like you to do is to copy amount total, your header, paste it over to the next one, and then delete your that, and then go to format and financial. And now we made it so it's not up or down, right? So like it's not, but we're also not like keeping a running balance. Notice, so like if we go over to the right, like to those columns, we do have that like ending balance, beginning balance column, but those are going to be what I suspect is when we run the February numbers, it'll just have like that 180 will be at the bottom for the beginning balance, where the one, and then the new ending balance will be in column L at the bottom. So we're not really replicating that money in and out. So we don't have to worry about the pluses and minuses in. And that'll be much faster than you going in and opening up the formulas and deleting certain things, or to manually changing them, especially if your activity increases. So no matter how much your activity increases, that step will still take the same amount of time. So I recommend that should be your quickest fix. So you've got it on video to learn. So
Great.
I won't do the cyclical repeating it. So
Thank you.
let's go, but highlight column E again.
Column E.
Sum 150. Yay. Because so remember we had highlighted it before and it was like 170, uh,
Mm.
because it had the pluses and minuses. So you can't check to make sure that you didn't like fuck up, or that you don't have like a weird error. Cause like sometimes like data gets output incorrectly. So like if there was some weird like data error and your report were longer where like this, you can see all the numbers at once. So it was like pretty easy for us to tell if something bad had happened. Like you notice that a plus, 100 moved to like 1,000. It's kind of easier to see, but like the more data you have, the harder it is to visually see like if something bad might have happened in the data.
Totally.
So just be careful.
Yeah,
Or
it's pretty easy to see too. The transfers don't have anything in the from, and the ones where we pay people say genderfuck next to them too. So
yeah.
it's pretty easy to parse that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and we're gonna know like which ones are, because that's gonna drive like how we do the entry, because that's why I've got like type to the left and then the note next to it, because like normally we're gonna be harvesting the stuff in the note for the description, but it
Mhm.
also informs what type of transaction we're entering in the first place. So a payment that we're receiving that is a donation, we know we're gonna enter this as with our donation template, right? And then the ones like payment, that's a payment out, reimbursement for lighting, then, we'll use that reimbursement lighting equipment for the description, but it also drives like what, we know what type of entry we're about to make.
Mhm.
So now this is like set up for our tracker. What happened? Can we scroll all the way to the left? It just wasn't showing. So like the only other things that I would do like is I would make it a little bit prettier. Like I would select column one and make them all like center, aligned and
Mhm.
boxed in a color, just to make it very apparent that this is a transaction tracker, and sort of
Mhm.
make it look like a nice polished report sort of thing. And that might, sort of indicate to somebody taking over a task that though this is an intentional sort of a setup, as opposed to like, oh, like why doesn't this report look the same as the one that I pulled? It makes it sort of less obvious that this is manipulated. Like, because somebody might just expect, oh, like, where did they pull this report from? I don't see an option. I don't see an option. They could spend days or weeks looking for the same report, not really realizing that I've spent a lot of time making it look like this. So unless you have another tab here saying where the, CSV path and then procedures for manipulating the CSV pulled report into this report, you want to make it clear that this is a highly manipulated report by making it colorful. That's the first indication. Like if I see somebody has boxed a thing and made it colorful, I know for a fact that's not a CSV pull.
Yeah,
I know that they've manipulated it. And so that's the only thing that I might suggest. But you're kind of a silo. You're the only one working right now. But if you do grow and you start having teamwork, that could be useful.
totally makes sense.
Cool,
Thank you.
cool. So now let's process some. Are you ready to process, or do you need a breather, or do you have any questions at this point?
I'm ready to process and I don't have any questions. I think you're great at explaining things. I appreciate you, Lee.
I appreciate you. Thanks. So for each thing, we're gonna learn the donation thing. And the thing that we'll get for it. So for the donations payments that we're getting in, the only thing that we need is the email.
Totally.
For payments out for like reimbursements or for your income payments to other people, we'll want your email plus the reimbursement form with the receipts for the things that we're reimbursing or the stipend acknowledgement payment, whatever, the invoice that you create for them. Which I do want to also caution you. I don't know if I really said it. What you're creating is an acknowledgement of payment form. You should not be calling it invoice. It's only an invoice if you are invoicing somebody else for your services. So
Mhm,
like they're paying you, or if that person that you're paying had created it themselves. So
mhm.
because you created it, you should not call it an invoice the same way that you shouldn't be saying like, from, you should be saying to in that first header when we talked about, who you're paying. So
Yeah,
I forgot to make that clear. Great.
yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
And I had time to say that while you hunted up the receipt.
Yep,
So go ahead and print this to PDF, the whole dang email.
yep. Okay.
That's ugly.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. No, that's not doing it right. Cancel. Uh, so go to the little, do you see at the top of your, no, scroll, no, pause, scroll. Do you see over to the right where you can make it bigger? There's a box with an arrow and there's a picture of a printer above that. Picture of
yes.
a printer, hit that.
Got
Yeah, that's what you want. Do you notice how the other one did not show the entire information?
yes.
So yeah, save as PDF, great, beautiful.
I don't know why it's really playing games with me. I click save.
Well, can you hit that drop down? Because it might, sometimes there's save as PDF or print to PDF, or I don't know what you have.
Let me try again.
And you might be able to control P this now.
Yeah,
Nope.
it says save as PDF.
All right. Hit, oh, well, it might be in your box right now. So I would go to your finder. Yeah.
No, that's it. I don't know why it's not letting
Go
me
to
save.
recent, because sometimes the PDF prints don't always go, well, screenshots don't always go to the downloads. So sometimes you have to look at recent. No, and you've got it. Nah, that sucks. No, it's not there.
I wonder why it's not letting me do
Oh,
that. Let
do
me,
you see that little okay, do you see next to the picture, next to the address bar, there's a little arrow with a bracket?
yes.
No, up, not
Oh,
that. Next to the address bar of the internet,
oh
the
yeah,
internet
here.
bar. Yeah, hit that. Nope. Can you X? So if you hit it again and click the X, and the reason why we're doing that is because it doesn't make it gray. Well, it makes mine gray, and so I know that there's not anything sitting there. If I clear out what is in there,
That makes
and
sense.
usually it's the little X. Hit
Yeah, I
that.
wonder why
It'll
it's
work the
not
same.
letting me save the print.
Now, let's try it again. When was the last time you restarted your computer?
I started up today. Um, I don't know why it's doing that.
And is this the new computer?
Yeah, this
Is
is
it a new
they
Mac?
yeah, this is a Mac. They replaced the display and they replaced the connector.
Okay. Okay, so it's a refurb. I was gonna
Mhm.
say, 'cause when I got my new Mac, there were some weird glitches that I didn't understand that have sometimes like kind of worked themselves out, but
Let me try see what happens.
that should be
Let me try again and see if I can do it from here.
let her think for a second. Just let her think for a second though, too, instead of clicking around, because the more we do that, the less it. And then if we can't do it this way, then I think you had already tried printing as PDF. So there's two different ways that we might be able to. There's a control P, and then there's also going to like file print page, and they usually give you different results based on which one you try. So we'll try both, or whichever one you had chosen. We should try the other one to see if it gives you a full printout.
Okay. One sec. I have a loaner computer from work that I can try it on. Let me
And
search.
then, yeah, oh great. Then you can also then just save it to your drive and then it'll be in the drive. And that way you don't even have to worry about emailing it. Or you can just attach the PDF to this email and email it
Oh, yeah,
back.
it worked on this. I could just switch to this computer so I can be working off this one. Oh wait, but
You-
that's annoying because I have all this stuff. Let me just
So
use this to
Dawn, listen to me. On the email that you just printed to PDF on that other computer, attach the PDF that you just made to that email and reply to yourself. And then it'll be on your computer that you're working on. It'll
Mhm,
instantly go over without a whole new platform.
got it.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Been a
Well, like
doctor.
the fastest way to get yourself that file is to reply to that email.
Truly. Let me add the list. Here we go. Open. Oh, great. That makes sense. Okay.
Right? Isn't that brilliant? No, X out of that bullshit. Inbox.
Oh, I sent it. LOL.
Yeah, no, you replied to the original. That's the only thing. It takes a moment to like put yourself as the recipient. You can't just reply. You have to reply to yourself.
LOL. Okay, it's right here. Okay, now it's
And
downloaded.
now we've got it, and now it's there. Bitch. See how fast that was?
Nice.
I mean, if we were going to do a million of them, I would suggest going to the new computer, but because we're only going to do a couple so that you have some templates, like,
Yeah, that'll
man,
be fine.
supply.
Okay, so we have this now.
Yep. So open up that. Yeah, we never name anything until we can open it. And so another thing, let's not do this yet. So go to your, do you have your bank tracker?
Yes, I do.
Go to your bank tracker.
I should title this to be my
Yes.
Venmo.
Yeah, 2023. Start with the 2023.
To
Four,
2023.
2024. You're right. I'm a bookkeeper, it's fine. I can be a year behind. And then little footy.
Okay.
Let's get you in the habit. And then Venmo, and then little footy, and then activity tracker. And now you're perfect. Oh, space between activity and tracker. My girl, that's why we got the footy. So that like different. That's cool.
Let's put together.
Yeah, so
Um,
just together. And now go to your banky thing, the color key code. Can you show me what it says there? Okay, I'm gonna give you something to step over because I've recently, oh, well, I guess we do have the, oh, that's good enough. So what I want you to do is to go to the little caret on color key code,
mhm. The carrot
caret on
on
color
color
key
key
code on the
code.
tab, and then copy to, and then existing, oh, nope, you were there. Copy to existing spreadsheet, and then recent to the right. Yeah, and now your Venmo, and yeah, and then insert, and then okay, and then go to your Venmo and go to copy and yeah, go ahead and delete that. And then rename that tab so it says just color key code or whatever. Get rid of the copy of because it takes up space and
Yeah, we want to take
So now
this.
you have that, and we like to keep the key code in all of our spreadsheets so that it stays, it becomes reinforced and it's easily accessible. You don't have to have your bank one open, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
So now we've got our format, kind of like there. So let's open back up that PDF that we were looking at.
Great.
Great. And just delete everything. Yeah, now let's start building the thing. What date do you think? Wait a
This is,
moment. I wanna look at this. Now, can we go back to the activity tracker?
yep.
Um, date 1/2. Okay. So it looks like what I'm looking for is like this the date time on this tracker matching the date of that's in your PDF. So let's go back to the email.
Hmm.
And it looks like so we've got transfer date and amount, we've got the date of the email, and let's scroll down so we can see what else this email says. Pause. Great. Scroll back up. Great. So everything agrees with January 2. So let's go ahead and put in the date. 2023 or 2024/01/02. And I know like it might be hard to sort of like conceptualize at first, but there's a reason why we do the year, the month, and the day, because it will always chronologically sort. If you put your months and your days first and you get 2 years in the same bucket, then it starts stacking your months in the same thing, and then it becomes unreadable. So
Totally.
that's the reason why the year goes before the month and the day. I know it's a pain in the ass and it's dumb and it doesn't make sense, but once you've got multiple years of data, you'll appreciate it.
Yeah,
All right.
understand.
So, the thing that we've left out here, so we don't have a class code. This is income, so class isn't necessarily like important, but I'm wondering why it was like sort of dropped from your file name conventions because you are a nonprofit, so you're classing things, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Right. So, what I would do at this point is to go back over to my tracker and to my file name convention and to add CC in there or class. There you go.
Got it.
Type, and let's just make sure that everything is good here. We've got type, we've got the amount, we've got name, we've got number for the GL. Great. And then we've got the memo. Perfect. Okay.
And this is whack. And then
Okay. So it's whack.
we are collective.
Okay, but that's so and when you're classing income, if you class it specifically for a certain thing, often an audit, your auditor is going to ask you for like official restrictions of funds in your accounting procedures.
Okay.
If a donation is made to you and it is not labeled as restricted funds, you should label it operations, OP. Some people maybe label it FR because fundraising, like everything, all income that's fundraised, if you class it FR, you can more closely align it with the FR fees for fundraising. So that's like in a budgeting trick, and that's acceptable. And your auditor won't ask you to justify, oh, these are for only fundraising. They'll know why that is. But if you start labeling it as a project, then the auditor is going to ask you, like, did you spend it on that project only? Because if it was for that project, then the usage of funds should be for that project, right?
Clear.
You might say like, well, no, like this class code means like our annual party. Some people have their annual fundraiser as a class code. And so when they take their income, they would class it as fundraised from that annual party. And so and they would say, no auditor, it's not restricted for use at annual fundraiser party. It was source of funds was our annual fundraiser party. An auditor would go, oh, okay, I get it. No problem. So that's a budgeting class, not a restriction class. So
Clear.
that I just wanted to explain that to you. So I would recommend doing OP or FR if you want to get fancy and start budgeting your like expenses for fundraising versus your fundraising income particularly. But you're not really I don't think that you need that right now. I don't think that you're looking for that level of like sort of budgeting um oversight, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
definitely
Okay.
clear. That makes sense. Thank you for explaining.
Cool. Now for type, do Venmo,
Mhm.
and I would say Venmo in or Venmo out.
All
And
caps.
so uh, do just capital V, lowercase e, and mo, all those caps, because then you have like your class is caps, so it's clearly, it kind of like sets it apart.
Separates it.
And
Yeah.
that's why we don't have like our debit, or like that makes it loud, that makes it important. You want to make it sort of quieter. So Venmo, space in, space out. Pause.
Venmo, space in, space
Yeah,
out. Got it.
so that it's clear. We're not scrunching words together. We're putting the space in with our file names. I know that there is a school of file naming that scrunches things together and uses the capitalization to demarcate the space. But in accounting, especially in like sometimes you might have like lad hoc accounting, LAD is capitalized and HOC is not capitalized. That's my proper spelling, right? So like our purpose of our file naming is capturing the actual, like mirroring the spelling and the placement, and lad hoc is all together. So like if you were just doing like all uppercase, you would lose that sort of demarcation. Or if you're like scrunching them together, it would be hard to tell that lad hoc is for real scrunched together and accounting is a space apart. So those are sort of the rules that we're sort of like or the things that we're trying to get across with our file name. So think more about like how you might write it, as opposed to a digitalization or like a data centric, because our data is more intellectual than often than it is for just sorting purposes, which is different from the date at the front. The date is our, like, that's our one, that's the digitalization, the chronological force, and also an uploading sort of a force thing. So like that's where that is important. But over here, this is more like softer knowledge that we're trying to carry. Okay.
Great.
So we got Venmo in because the money is coming into you, or Venmo out. And the reason why it's in or out, it's because Venmo payment, you noticed from their spreadsheet that they call a payment, whether money was paid to you or you paid it out to somebody else. So it doesn't indicate anything different. And also like, then people might say, Venmo payment sent or Venmo payment received. Well, you might like make that shorter to Venmo space PMT space REC for received, or Venmo PMT SNT for sent, but that's a lot of space that you're taking up with your transaction type. So Venmo in, Venmo out, as well as PayPal in, PayPal out. And PayPal is pretty short, so you can do the PayPal, or you can just do PP in, PP out. And some people might even you might do like Ven in, Ven out if you want to do a little bit shorter. So like there are ways that you can kind of play with it to keep it like clear, but keep it yeah, and in line with your use and understandable. So that's the long and the short of that part. Um got the 30 and now the name. And here's another thing about this. With Venmo, the name that you're sent it to is not always their legal name. And because, or the money that they're sending to you is not, that's not always their legal name. And for donation recognition purposes and for income payment purposes, you need people's legal names for
Mhm.
both of those things. So if this name is not their legal name, you need to do a situation where it's like the name that as it appears, like Daddy Humper number 69, and then a space, exactly as it's written, and then FBO capitalized, which means for benefit of, and then a space, and then their legal name. And that's how, and I know it's long, but like, or if you're doing like a business name thing and but it was like a sole proprietor and they're kind of like DBA or whatever, you might do like FBO or DBA, to like sort of imply like this is like kind of their working name, like DJ gets hot, FBO Sam Flow, right? Um, also, that can be used for like one person's like sort of like their business name or their payment name and then their legal name, or it can be to one person, legal name or fake name, doesn't matter, for the benefit of another human that doesn't have, because often somebody will take Venmo, that's for somebody else. right? And so you don't want to, they don't want to take on liability for that 1099 income if they, are accepting a stipend payment. So you want to make sure that it's clear in your accounting system that you send it to this person's name, whether or not that's a fake name or somebody else, whatever it is, but who the financial liability is towards needs to be on the other end of that FBO. So that's all I have to say about that. So at this point, let's enter. So we set our draft file name as it is now. So hit enter. Great. If you had just clicked out, it might not retain our draft. So at this point, I want to look at our CSV details because I want to see if there's other names besides the name that it says on that sheet. So KAC Hinckley. Claire, Robin, William, Dawn, Sonia B, Sonia B. So I notice issues right here. So with these things that are like Sonia B and Sonia B, you do have the if you have like sort of the a soft obligation to gather a person's legal name if possible. If it's not possible, then you can label it as an anonymous donation. So in a situation like this, you could say like I would put like a non-donate, like you could use the label like a non-donation, a non-donor. And then in like the description, when you like are logging it into your system, you would put like, the donation part one, donation part two, as you would normally for anything else that has like Claire Sinelli, we can assume that is a legal name. Robin Wilson, that's assumably a legal name. Dawn Hooling, that's assumably a legal name. Sonia B could be a legal last name, but most probably is not. Casey,
We do know it's Sonia Bandwell. That's one of our regular donors for Queer Dance Freakout.
and that's cool. And so like, and that's, so at this point, like if you do know it, then you should, put it in as that, right? So anytime you do know where you can find out the donor's legal details, you should get that. And anytime that you do not, then you can use the description in your entry saying it was received under this name. There was no email address or there was no way that I could find out the legal details. So we're entering it as a non-donation. So you just like label it as that, like leave a note for the auditor about why it's not labeled. Right, because like you should be tracking, even if it's only $50, if they're a regular donor, like you just said, then you should be adding that to their annual total because you should be totaling for their end of year recognition letter. Because if they go above 600, then you owe them that letter, right?
Totally. Goal
Right.
is to one day hit that. We haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Oh, and one last note. I talked about FBO for the benefit of, but there's also like AKA. So if somebody is using like, trans people are often using a thing, and if you have to have the dead name for legal recognition purposes, then you can do the AKA all on one line. And you can like kind of put that in your like in QuickBooks, there is a name for like company name and display name. So if you want to make sure it's not showing up on reports, you can do that full long name, like the person's going by name and then the AKA and then their dead name. And then in the, the display name, only put the name that they're using. That's fine. Because you'll have to kind of like keep it retained in these like backup documents or in the back end, but you can sort of force your displays to be not transphobic to ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So every invoice and payment received doc or payment sent document, we need their legal name. And then in all of the named files, we need their legal name too.
Yeah. Well, and anything like in tracking, like you'll need that legal name retained. For this, like I wouldn't so like how you overwrite that Sonia B, um if it's a CSV detail, I do not recommend overwriting that information. I would turn that back into Sonia B, and then we're gonna go to the end, and we're going to, oh shit, we're gonna add on another column, which we should have already added on at this point, but I forgot it. So go to the end of your CSV, and add on an additional column after M, and put in the words GFP notes. Great. And then the enter. And then let's go back, scroll back to the left. And Sonia B's lines, 8 and 9, can you just highlight them yellow real quick?
Mhm.
Not the whole line, the whole rows.
Oh, got it.
Just, yeah, we're just temporarily doing that, so it's easy to see. And copy that, the full name as you have it written,
Got it.
copy it. Okay, and then over on the notes column, put full name, column, or colon, and then copy, and then paste. Great. And copy it down there. And then go back over to Sonia B, and then turn that back into Sonia B as it was. You
Got
shouldn't
it.
overwrite CSV data. We're keeping this to retain it, right? This should match it. And so like the more you start manipulating this data in ways like you want to make it clear what's manipulated, right? So like we did change that date time without, and we overwrote that, and sort of like that is kind of fine because the auditor will see like that's not different, that's not material difference. But once they start saying this from and to, you started manipulating it, then that brings into question the authenticity or the validity of all of the data. And so that's why it's preferred to have a notes column. So to make an addendum, like the full name or the whatever. And so then, and that would also be the place for Casey Hinckley. So we want to make a note for Casey Hinckley. You might want to go ahead and put that in as their payment name, but like that is probably not a legal name. It could be, but it's probably not. Their legal name is probably, it starts with a K and starts with a C, right?
His
And
his legal name is Casey, but like I that's not common for most folks.
right. Okay, so in this place, like you might initially, right, like we know that that is their legal name. And that way you have that on record. And so then when you send out your donor recognition letters or you gather that information for the auditor, you can say that that's confirmed that's their legal name when they ask, because they would probably ask, right?
Yeah.
Or if it were unknown, you would have a note saying, we do not know their legal name, but we do have this address and we do have those initials. So we'll prepare it with the known data, you know.
Mhm.
Or if you did not have an address and you did not have an email, all you had was just that name and happened to be above the level where you had to report. And you know, you would just say like, all we have is this name, this assumed name. And so we're labeling it as like, you know, like if we can't send out, if we don't have the information to send out further donor confirmation letters, and this is like possibly a legal name, possibly not a legal name, at that point you might write a note saying we're labeling it as an anonymous donation. It came under this label. And that way, if the government does get some sort of a, you know, a claim like they said that, you know, they donated to you, well, that does line up with this anonymous donation. So at the end of the day, you can kind of like line it up, but you wouldn't necessarily have been able to send out that letter. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't be a problem. But so that should cover all future cases. Um, those are all my notes. Let's see, we are donation, we are donation, we are donation, standard transfer, that's clear, reimbursement, lighting equipment, that'll be handled particularly, payment, we are donation, 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 transfer, then this payment, we are, et cetera, nomad. That's unclear. Are you labeling that as a donation or is this some sort of a, is this ticket sales?
Yeah, that's also a donation. They were
Okay.
fundraising for lighting equipment, and the Nomad is the name of the lighting equipment.
Okay. And then, so when you make this entry, I would suggest writing donation and then colon and then copy pasting that note because, which will be different from like the rest. You'll just have like, you'll just copy paste, we are donation, right? You won't have to label donation colon, we are donation, redundant, fuck all that. But if something's unclear, you want to affirm how you're labeling it, because you're attesting to what it is, right?
Hmm.
And so, and you, that's why like you can just have like what it is and then colon with their quote, especially if it's in line, if you're just copy pasting all of the others, or you might make it a little bit more clear by using quotation marks so that it's clear that, you know, this is you talking and that's them talking, just for clarity and audit trail. We are donation. Sorry, can't make it have fun. I would also label this one. I'm sure that's donation.
Yeah, it was a donation for We Are.
Yeah. And then have an amazing
Have an
show.
amazing show,
Also
also a donation for We
donation.
Are.
Now, when we do file names, we're gonna have like we'll have to decide like a pattern. I don't think that you should be adding this into all of it because like on the end of your file names, there's memo, right? And we're talking about we're going to be copy pasting this note in as our memo for the entries, but I don't necessarily think that you need to copy paste this note into the end of every different file name. I think that you can probably get away with some sort of a basic pro forma copy paste standard ending. Um, but then it's sort of like what's meaningful, what's not meaningful, because we'll have Venmo in or Venmo out is already gonna be listed. So like adding like donation via Venmo. It's like, well, we already know it's from Venmo, and we're gonna have what is your number 4011 maybe for individual donations,
Yeah.
probably something like that, right? So you'll already have that account number there. So like having donation is a little bit redundant, but and so like normally I would recommend not having redundancies in there, except for times where it's like it's too much for us to use all of these unique ones. And we do have to have something. It can't just be naked. So this is one of those few times where I might recommend just doing like miscellaneous, like MISC donation,
Mhm.
and just having that standard ed miss donation, miss donation, miss donation, miss donation, miss donation. Or you might like if it is for something particular, like you might have like a unique one there, like miss donation for this purpose if you were wanting to, only if it's meaningful, right? If you need it, like if you're tracking that for a purpose because you were trying to line it up with them, or you wanted to make sure for your donation acknowledgement letter to remember to thank them for that particularly, right? So sort of what is useful to you, and that's how much more you should put. So great, let's go back to our PDF.
Mhm. I believe we can do one transaction today.
We absolutely can. And we're not just doing one transaction. I'm giving you training for a bunch of different types of transactions going forward because I'm not going to be with you forever. It takes longer because I'm training you for variety for each one. But
Totally.
so name,
Would be Casey Hinckley.
debt,
Uh, I don't know why it's not letting me type.
if it's being weird, enter and then go back. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then let's go and confirm. Always hit enter when you leave your PDF. Hit
Mhm.
enter. Set your file name. Trust
Yeah.
me. I know it's
Um,
just one name this time, but honestly.
yeah.
And it was 4011.
Individual donations, single donations, 4011.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm a creature of habit. That's how I know.
Love to see it. Thank you for helping us make our chart of account. You're a badass. Okay.
And
And then
then
we are
yeah.
donation, right?
I would say, remember, like I thought that we could use a standard like miscellaneous donation. So MISC space donation for this, as opposed to, putting in there.
Got it.
So you did understand and agree with that?
Yeah,
That
that makes sense to me because
okay.
we're like working with a lot of different people saying random shit in our Venmo,
Yeah.
and it makes
Right.
no
Yeah.
sense to just be
Right.
donations, especially
Yeah.
if we're not tracking for projects.
Yeah, and they might have something like for like, oh, for that like alcoholic thing, they might put something in there that you don't necessarily want to make loud for because
Yeah,
it'll like let's just leave it buried. But if you are doing like illegal bars, do coach your people sending you Venmos to not tell on you and their transaction details for fuck's sake,
definitely.
people.
Definitely.
That's just tell your friends.
Tell your friends, don't say dumb shit in the Venmo. We have to,
Yeah, when we need each other to stop doing that.
yeah.
Uh, okay, so now so remember when we're entering a thing, we've got what we're entering on the bottom half. So our receipt down here, and then on the top half of our screen, we have our Venmo open.
Hmm.
Bottom half of our screen behind where our PDF is, that's where we have our tracker, right? So let's get our receipt in a good way down there. Now let's get our tracker in a good way behind it so it's all ready.
Hmm.
Because we're going to be bopping back and forth between what things we cherry pick from the tracker and what we pick from the in the thing. Yeah. And now, yeah, let's go back up and sign into QuickBooks and
Great.
on our top screen. Yeah. Make that a little shorter. Yeah. And remember the QuickBooks has to be thicker than the other thing because, yeah, that's about good. QuickBooks requires more real estate to be readable.
Yeah. QuickBooks is fucking around with us.
It stays fucking around. Oh,
Okay.
while you're logging in, I need to check these notifications. I'm getting food delivered.
Yum. What are you
More
eating?
food every day.
Okay. Great. I got it. So we're gonna go to new.
Momento. Soul food every day. Oh, they're picking it up right now. Great. Okay, so yeah, go to new and let's go to journal entry because
Got it.
we're gonna set up a format for like processing these all by individual journal entries. So let's stay at the top. Don't we're gonna remember we do the fields one at a time.
Yep.
So I would recommend let's go to our PDF and let's copy paste our file name. Copy
I
it.
eliminate this at the front.
Yeah. Control, yeah, copy that in and then let's go to scroll to the bottom. And then in that memo box, just paste it all. And now we're looking, see we've got that 1, 2. So let's scroll back to the top and just leave all that there. And then our journal date is the first field. So let's make the journal date the correct date, which is perfecto. Now tab. Don't scroll. Now where we're at. So we're at journal number. So the thing that we're going to use for our journal number in this instance is our transaction ID, right? Because that's a good number that we already have. So I wouldn't get it from here. Go to your Excel. And there we go. Control C and put it in there. And let's make one and then tab out real quick. Now I want tab. Now scroll so you can see, but stay where your tab, scroll up to the top. Yeah, stop here. So one thing that I want you to look at with your ojos right now is your journal number, that it is the full number. So one of the glitches that's common to QuickBooks is a copy paste error in a transaction number field or in a journal number field. Sometimes it will, I swear to God, it has dyslexia. It will transpose a number backwards.
Whoa.
Yes, that is for a ref number in an expenditure entry most often, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the location, but occasionally, I think that's the one where it transposes it backwards only that I've seen. But for the journal entry line or for that box and for another a transaction number, I forget which type of transaction, it doesn't have enough characters for the amount of characters that you need sometimes. So there are like right now it looks like the amount of numbers for Venmo is always going to be this number. So it'll be stagnant. It's always going to have that number of digits. And it looks like a journal entry allows you to have that number of digits, which makes our job very easy. There are other payment processors that I use that have too many digits, which means that we have to then start like we have to make more choices. You have to use your brain. You have to then set up a pattern to do a custom journal entry number, or you have to have a very, you just copy paste what it allows and then also use transaction ID and paste it into your memo every time, which is a pain in the ass. So we're lucky in this case that it does fit. But I want you to be able to, when you have different types of transactions going forward in tomorrow days, be able to use your brain to look at it and decide, is this okay? Or do I need to do something special? Okay. So
So
that's about that. So now we've got that journal entry number in, and now this is the hard part for the planning it. What I want you to do when you're doing your journal entries going forward is I want you to open up an old one and copy it and to use that as a template each time, as opposed to putting it in fresh each time, because you're not necessarily an accountant. So journal entries are generally reserved for accountants because you have to know more things to set them up. So I'm going to make this template with you and to teach you how to do it, but you should use that as a pattern. So for the first box, this first account, I like to set it up to be the bank always. And in this case, bank is Venmo. So we've got Venmo already set up. Perfecto. And for banks or accounts receivable, so your whatever bank you have, Venmo Bank, PayPal Bank, or accounts receivable, a debit will make them go up and a credit makes them go down, which is illogical. You think like a credit should be more money, right? But it is not, which I can go into that later. But so for what we need to know, Venmo debit would make it go up. And so if you know that, then you'll know what the other side needs to be, right? So we'll put in the 30 there and then tab. Oh,
Oh,
you left. Yeah, so 30, tab, and now scroll to the bottom. And now from miss donation, just miss donation.
it's playing games with me. Okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you the best way to do it.
Mhm.
Scroll to the bottom, I see, and you cut it too. Okay, so put your cursor before the M. Just drop it there. Now hit Shift Command down arrow.
That makes sense.
And now Control C.
Oh, you
Nope.
want Control C.
Yeah, because you need to remember our memo stays in the memo line and in the description lines always, because if you only have it in one place, then it doesn't show up in all the reports. So if we're harvesting our memos across, it's always going to be a copy. It's never going to be a cut.
Yeah.
So copy it there and then go to the next line down. Nope, down, description down,
Oh, description down.
and copy it there. Okay, and now go over to the account field. Oh, actually, scroll to the bottom. I lied to you. And then the 4011.
Hmm.
So put your cursor in front of the four. No, the account code. Put your cursor there. Now hit hold shift and hit your arrow key 4 times.
Got it.
Now control X because we don't want to keep that there. So we're taking it. Now go to the account number on line 2. Control V. Pause a second. Let it think. And now hit tab. If you hit tab too early, it won't allow it time to select the account, so it'll glitch. And if it glitches, it will ask you create this new account. And if you don't pause long enough to think, you're gonna want to hit enter because you'll get so used to entering things that you'll just hit enter, and that will cause you to create new accounts. Do you remember when we were doing transactions and you automatically created a new transaction type on accident?
Yeah, I do
It'll
remember
ask you
that.
to add new chart of accounts. So this will add numbers to your chart of accounts very easily, just like that. So be careful of that. So that's my warning there. So now you noticed that once you hit tab, do you see how that credit already populated with that 30?
Hmm.
That's good. So it's going to assume that once you have that first line, it's going to assume that you want to finish out the amount with the next line. If we were entering something where like they gave you money and we also had to log a fee payment, then you would have to manually change that to maybe 27, dollars and then add in, a 3 for the fee payment. You might have to manually change it. But as long as it's only 2 lines, it's good. It's going to do the math for you. So you can go ahead and hit tab. And now let's scroll to the bottom again because we're using a copy paste or a cut paste. So put your cursor in front of the K for the vendor name or for the donor name. And then I would just shift an arrow, especially because it seems like when you're mousing, you're tending to get glitches and it's hard to select. I would favor your keystrokes. So then both start with the first one. And that's important. Sometimes if you put things in one line and a down a line, and then you put things in an above line, it'll start overriding below. So always stack it in order. So yeah, paste that, add new, and then oh, we gotta pause, go back in there, Control V, add new, wait. I want you to look at something. Do you see how donor is automatically selected up there? That's good, but hit that drop down arrow where the contact type is. If you add somebody in as a donor, then you cannot add them under the same name as a vendor or an employee. So if this person happens, if this happened to be a vendor and you wanted to track it as a vendor, and especially if like you might be doing bills and accounts payable type of transactions, it would be a problem if you accidentally entered them as a donor. So it would cause you to have to do some cleanup. So either you would have to do a policy where some people have taken the thing where they, sometimes like I might give you money and you might give me money because I'm a donor and I'm a vendor for you if you were paying me. So in this case, you would put Lee Andel Dewey parenthesis V parenthesis for vendor account and then parenthesis D parenthesis for donor account. But if you would accidentally put somebody in the wrong way, you can't delete it easily. Like it kind of stays there. So you might want to then like overwrite it as another one. So you got to make a decision about how you want to clean it up and it's a pain in the ass. So I caution you, just look at what type it is, make sure it's the right one, and then go forward. So donor is
That's
correct.
super helpful because Rain and I both donated in January, but we're also people that get paid. So it would need to be
Yeah.
parentheses D parentheses.
Yeah. And it depends then also, are you a vendor or an employee? And if you're doing 1099 payments, then you're a vendor. If you're doing employee payroll payments, then you need an employee entry account. And especially if you're doing payroll through QuickBooks, then you definitely need an employee setup account. But if you're doing like payroll through an external account, you can still get away with having the vendor as opposed to employee. But then it won't allow you to track for sending out 1099s, so like depending on the way you have it set up and the eventual functions you want QuickBooks to do for you, you have to think a little bit.
Totally.
So now I want you to notice one more thing. I don't bother filling out anything else here usually because I'm not using this. Like if you want to use this as your donor management platform, at this point you should be filling out their like legal first, middle, last name and their address because you can then create your like donation receipt things through QuickBooks and you have all that information in that place to log it out. Most people use alternative donor management platforms, so never fill this out. Okay. And so that's fine. If you're not filling it all the way out, the only thing that I would tell you to notice again to reinforce what I said earlier is this company name versus donor display name. Now, most people are not companies. So I get a wild hair up my ass and I try to be like adherent and I always delete that company name and I just leave the donor display name because it allows you to have a company name blank. It does not allow you to have a blank donor display name. And if you write it in the company name, it'll automatically update the donor display name. But you can then override it and it won't back update. So you can like force it to be however you want. But if you notice something updating, it's always going to do that. So remember your orders of operation. So like if you kind of put it in the donor display name first, and then you're like, oh, let me add the company name. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I've lost a second because now I got to update that again. Just knowing which box to start filling out first, depending on what you want to do, will save you time. So um, at this point, I would just kind of like leave it the same for like trans people or for FBO situations. You might want to hide like a legal name in that company name spot. And so if you're going to be using that for intentional purposes, you might want to do that sort of like wild hair up the ass thing that I had where I always religiously clear out the company name because then that allows me to distinguish between an intentional different name there because if I just allow it to always be standard, then I'll stop kind of noticing it, right? So if it has something that'll key me into knowing that like there's something there and that it was on purpose. But if I'm not updating for that purpose, then I sort of lose that sort of benefit of keeping that information there because it allows that information to become buried or unseeable. So it becomes unusable. So depending on how you want to use that field, either just if if it's going to be sort of like you can leave it as always how it is standard if you're not really using it in a meaningful way. But if you do want to start delineating your data, then fill it out more carefully. So at this point, you can just hit save or you can delete company name and leave donor display name. Cool. Now tab. And now hit the number 9. The number 9 is always going to bring up your GenOps account. Hit tab. And that's the fastest way to do it. And now you can tab again, just for learning purposes, tab. So now you notice that you hit tab from the 9 and it selected the delete button. You hit tab again, it selects the plus. You hit tab again, it selects the account. And I say that because I count tabs when I'm doing a lot of data entry and you're going to be entering a lot of these 10, 15 at a time. So you're going to want to do them very quickly. So count the number of tabs. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you do 6 quick tabs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'll end up in your name box again and then hit KC. And then it'll be right down there. And you can either hit your down arrow or select it with your mouse, whichever is faster for you, and then tab again, and then 9, tab. And if you're, and once again, just to reinforce, if you hit a number and you're waiting, like if you're in the drop down returns one thing, you want to wait a beat so it has time to select it, especially if you've been using QuickBooks for a while. It'll get slower the longer you use it. So you have to pause longer later in your entries. When you first fired it up, you can go quick, but after, a couple of hours, you notice that the lag gets more. So at that point, you should close all of your QuickBooks windows, log out and close all of the QuickBooks tabs, and then open it fresh again. And that'll give you more RAM. So now we've got all of these filled out. Let's scroll to the bottom and look. So let's clean up our memo. I would get rid of everything. So I would hit cursor before M and then shift command left arrow and delete. And it's pretty. And now we have to, one last thing, put it back though.
I'll just drag and drop.
Cool, cool. And I like to line up my finder thing so it's literally right next to it. So I have like 1 centimeter. Like if you make it smaller, if you make it shorter, you see how the blue selection is 2 and 3. No, drag your finder windows down physically. Do you see how? No, you had it in the right. If you drag it down a little bit, downwards, select the top file. Do you see how that blue line is there? Do you see inside of your QuickBooks that blue line on the attachment thing? Make the blues next to each other. Drag your finder. Yes. Now, do you see how you have 1 centimeter to drag?
Yeah,
Great.
clear.
As opposed to like 3 inches and at an angle, that will hurt your wrists after a while.
Totally. Watching
So,
out for older me.
honey, you're a dancer.
Hmm.
At 40, love yourself. Don't be like me. And
Saving throws?
saving clothes. And now we've entered a transaction. So we like to, if we're doing a bank feed, if this were a banking activity, we would immediately go over to our middle tab, which would be transactions, and we would match, right? But now this is different. And so at the end of the month, I'm going to have to teach you how to manually reconcile an account that is not coming in a feed. So I'll let you do all of these on your own time. And next time we meet, I will review all of the entries that you made to make sure that they're in correctly. And then I will show you how to manually reconcile. But I guess that'll be 2 meetings from now because I need to teach you how to do the other 2 types of transactions. So we spent half of today like talking about like the Venmo like thing and setting up the rec, right? And setting up that thing. So we don't have to do all that work. We've done a lot of things. So we did more than that one transaction type today is what I'm trying to say. So
Mhm.
for our next meeting, the goal should be to, if you can select your tracker down on the bottom screen, it should be the standard transfer, which is very quick and easy. I can't make that longer than 15 minutes to teach, I don't think, if I tried. Fuck around and find out though. The reimbursement for lighting equipment, I could probably teach you over 8 hours to 8 days.
You've already actually in January taught me how to do a reimbursement,
Reimbursement.
so I
Perfect.
have like all the stuff that I need to do
Okay,
that.
so you make the backup pack and I will, and then we'll make the entry together because it'll be slightly different.
Yep.
So prepare the backup packet for that. And for the standard transfers as well, the only thing that you need for that backup packet, you get an email for those.
For the standard transfer, yes, we get an email for
Right.
those.
So then in preparation for next time, you can make the backup packets for everything. Fuck me. 1 second.
You're good.
Cool. Um, so yeah, you can make the backup packet how you think it'll be with the reimbursement form already filled out for the reimbursement payment. And for the transfers, go ahead and make backup packets for those, and it just needs the receipt, file name it how you think. The transaction type will be Venmo and then space and then TXR for transfer.
Mhm.
And then the GL code will be the GL number for your bank account. So if you go over to your chart of accounts real quick, I'll tell you what that is. Go to your statement of financial position, the second tab, and then JPMs, it's 1011.
Yep.
So that'll be your GL number. And then in your memo will just be transfer of general funds
Clear.
is the memo, transfer of general funds. Uh,
Perfect.
and then make the backup packets for all of the donation incomes, file name them just how we had. And if you want to go ahead and make those entries into the thing, you already know how to copy a transaction and then override it.
Great.
Okay.
I can do that, and that helps because a lot of what was building up because we did a fundraising campaign for QDF, and we are had a lot of donations with all those donations I had to process for Venmo. Everything else is pretty simple. Each month we have like about 8 things happening in our bank, so
Yeah.
like it's mainly just processing a shit ton of Venmo transactions. But I'm gonna start on those now, which makes me feel less stressed out. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna stop recording, and then